control, so that he can probably hope to take his third base safely in just a little while.
Yeah, and once he gets that third base up and running, I'm surprised that Light hasn't countered the siege expand and his failed 2-fact by trying to go for a double expansion himself. I think he really needed to try to do something like that in order to stay in this game economically, otherwise he's just going to fall behind. Nice cute little mine there being placed by Light, able to going to be able to stop the third base going up for Leta for a little bit, but Leta could just easily go to the 12 o'clock position if he really wants to get a third base up and running. On the other hand, I think Light might be going for some economic harassment. I'm trying to see if he's putting down a starport yet. No, he's still just going for a factory, so he's not going to go for any sort of a drop or anything yet. Nothing. Oh wait, never mind. There it is. There's the starport with the control tower. So we are going to see some sort of a dropship play. I think there it is. You're going to see 3 vultures dropped into Leta's base, and if these can do some damage, if these can get maybe get a half dozen SCV kills, delay some of the mining for a while, place some mines, just cause overall mayhem inside of Leta's base. That's going to be one way for him to work his way back into this and even it up, even though his second base is up significantly later. If he can even up that SCV count a little bit, that'll help him out. But at the same time, Leta is pushing out towards Light's base as well. And here's the drop coming in, picking off a couple SCVs already, getting right into the mineral lines, going to pick off a couple more. He needs to place some mines, really, in order to stop any sort of tanks from coming out. One of the vultures does go down. It looks like a third and fourth SCVs going down as well. So some decent economic harassment going down there. Probably about a half dozen to 7 or 8 SCVs going down, which is very much worth the trade. So evening up the economics a little bit, but overall still I think maybe a little bit behind, but still still quite close. I don't think Light has quite the forces to really, or Leta has the forces to really break this defense by Light. Light looks like he's got quite an impressive tank line to counter Leta. So I think we're just going to see both players kind of settle into a macro game, as neither of them really is going to be able to advance all the way across the map and still be able to defeat their opponent's reinforcements, because that map length just means that you can get another round or maybe even 2 rounds of units out. So that's really playing into Light's favor right now in terms of keeping him okay in terms of the military count, even though he's had less factories for most of the game. Although he's evening it up now, he's had them operating for a less amount of time. So, but the map distance is coming out. It started out hurting him because he went for that 2 factory push, but at this point it's actually helping him out a little bit as he's fallen a little bit behind. But I think he's going to be able to macro up, and we should be seeing this going into a pretty macro heavy game.
Yeah, Light is currently expanding. He's got a command center going up in his natural expansion that I guess I'd expect him to float to a 6 o'clock because at least by air distance, air travel, it's closer. And I've been looking at the players' tank positions, and it's really so good that they've got their tanks in a line that you'd have to come into at a 90-degree angle so that all the tanks would be able to fire at their opponent as they come in, and they're all spaced out pretty evenly. They're not going to get splashed, and it's just like really great tank positioning, and that's the sort of beautiful finishing touches that you don't really see at lower levels in this. Yeah, you can see Light's command center is has been lifted. He picked up. Oh, that was Light's forces. I'm sorry. Light just clearing out the mine that Leta laid at his 6 o'clock. So that might be a tip-off to Leta, but because it's on high ground and Light's brought the bulk of his forces there, I don't think Leta's going to be able to deny that. I think he's just going to try to play a little catch-up and go for an expansion himself. Yeah, he's building that, ready to float it to the 3 o'clock. He's got it at the bottom corner of his command. He's got a command center going up at the bottom corner of his main base, and oh. That tank looks so lonely. Oh, we've got a science facility. Come on, build a physics lab, or better yet, covert ops. But with that science facility floating around, I guess it's just going to be for upgrades, and we're not going to see anything crazy yet. There's still time. There's still time to I'm not seeing that this is the best Terran versus Terran ever yet. I'm still waiting on miraculous play and almost unbelievable innovations, but they'll come eventually. I just have to be patient.
Yeah, it's TBT. You're not going to see too much in the first, what are we at, like 13 minutes? This is about the time when the game starts to get intense normally. Until this point, both players just macro up, trying to start building up dropship fleets. So, not a whole, there's some sort of fighting going on, but they were focusing on Leta's face so much, I'm not even really sure what happened there. I assume it was just a little bit of a vulture fight, and maybe a couple of vultures got picked off, but I couldn't really tell because we were staring at Leta's baby face instead of at the fight that was going on there. And Light just pushing across the middle of the map with a bunch of tanks, clearing away some of these these mines, and a little bit had to be careful there. Is there were still some mines placed. I cannot tell whose mines are whose. I'm gonna assume that those are still Leta's mines that just didn't happen to get triggered. And finally, Light is gonna try and push out of his quadrant of the map and maybe trying to establish himself on the map, because Leta's really had most of the presence for most of this game ever since that 2-factory push ended. And a couple mines going off and doing half damage to these siege tanks. That's very important, because that means these siege tanks can only take one hit from from Leta's siege tanks, whereas normally they'd be able to absorb 2, and it would take a third to destroy them until that +2 weapons upgrade is completed. We got +1 weapons for Light, and I assume we've got +1 weapons for Leta as well. Leta did get the armory up a little bit before Light. Looks like Leta's actually going to be pushing across the left side of the map. If I remember correctly, he's also got units at the bottom right as well, along with the mines everywhere, so it's pretty much impossible to tell how many forces he has at any given place, just because he's placed so many mines. But I think he's going to be pushing the major amount of his forces towards the left side. He's got a lot of tanks, he's got a lot of vultures. And the thing of this there is that will probably be the natural location where Light would want to go with his 4th base, and he's going to be able to delay that pretty significantly. And Light, oh my god, Light
Oh
is going
my
for the center
god!
expansion. Center expansion by Light. That is, wow, that is very, very audacious. Double gas there if you can hold it. If by some miracle of Lord Almighty you can hold that, you can get double gas, and that could be just absolutely game-changing if he can hold it. That's a big, big if, though.
Oh my god, this is it's a giant risk, but it's also a potential for a giant reward. Getting 2 gases in Terran versus Terran is just like an unbelievably dominant position to be in. Oh, and we see now that Leta's got a dropship, or he's got a starport of his own. We haven't seen anything in the air yet. Oh, and it looks like Leta's scouting this, and he's coming in with a vastly superior force of vultures and tanks, taking out the 4 tanks blocking for that instantly, and the command center already being cancelled. I was hoping that would get discovered like right as it was going up. That would have been a better timing. And if Light doesn't watch out, he's also going to lose his science facility and going to have to build it again before he continues upgrades. And Light I haven't seen a dropship out of Leta yet, but Light has massed up a decent fleet. It looks like he's got 5 dropships already. And you know, the old school Terran versus Terran, like the Terran versus Terran we see on Moonglaive, I feel is more resembles the Terran versus Terrans of like 5 years ago, where it's so many vultures in the action. But the Terran versus Terran I'm used to seeing that's been dominant for like the past 2 years. And good God, MBC game jackets are just really, really ugly. I can't tell what's going on with those like 5 colors that all suck. But it's like, anyway, it starts with just massive ground forces of mostly tanks with vultures and Goliaths supporting, and then turns into a huge mobility battle, dropping onto mines, losing a huge amount of forces just from dropping onto Leta's mines. Light is going to be regretting that, and just barely managing to not lose 2 of those tanks as well. It looks like he forced a command center or something to cancel that was going up at the 9 o'clock, but at the cost of a lot of forces already. And now it looks like Leta's going to try to push up that ramp and take out Light's now tattered and tiny strike force. The 2 armies are currently out of range from each other, but only 2 tanks remaining. And it looks like Light just got his +2 upgrades up for him, and Leta's at, it looks like 1-0, so despite the fact that he got his armory up so much earlier, he hasn't been upgrading apparently.
Yeah, and that's really, really crucial at this stage of the game. That +2 upgrade is just so critical. He can start 2-shotting tanks, and you know, his Goliaths, once he starts producing them to counter all of these dropships, that will, if they're not in the air yet for Leta, I haven't seen very many dropships for him, they will be coming out. Light has taken the base at the bottom right. That will be 1, 2, 3, his 4th base. Looks like Leta's taking the base at the 12 o'clock, so that's his 4th base as well. So we're just seeing